Alright, so here's the next step in the process of building the wicking beds. I just threw in the base plumbing pipe, basically cut 3/4 inch PVC because it's actually electrical conduit, leak tight. I forget what it's called, but it's not supposed to leak water. Fitting right there. I actually have an aquaponics system. I always leave it up with some silicone to keep it from leaking, but because it's underwater on my aquaponics system. But on this it'll work just fine. I hooked on the PVC pipe, drilled holes on the top. I used the letter spacing on the thing as a guideline, just so I didn't have to draw one because I'm lazy. And I put a little elbow at the far end with another small piece of pipe to kind of keep it level on the bottom. I just have the same thing going on both sides. And on to the next video. Alright, here's the next step in the process. I basically took the tubes, cut them to length, make sure I left some space at the ends, so that way the wicking material can wick up everything evenly in the bed. And then I cut the reservoirs to whatever size I needed them to be to do that. And then I capped off the end with some fabric and tape, which that'll break down eventually, but it'll keep everything from getting in there. And let's see here. Here's the other bed. Basically, I worked the peat moss down in there that I'm going to be using, so that way it can make good contact with the surface of the water and wick it upwards. And then basically made a nice solid mat, just several inches thick right through there on this side. I'm going to eventually do that on the other side, and then I'll start adding my layers of different soil types coming on up. On one more little side note, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that if you get some of this pipe, buy some that's already got the holes pre-cut in it, preferably smaller holes. That way not much will work its way in there, if anything at all. The first wicking bed I built was in my greenhouse, and it did not have any holes at all in there, and I had to go through with a drill. It was still easy to do, but this saved me an hour's worth of work. So there's that. Alright, these are the three soils I'll be using on top of the peat moss. I'm going to throw down some of this directly on top of the peat moss, and then that'll be next. That'll be the last layer, because it's inoculated and everything. Tribiotic inside. Well, anyways, and then directly on top of the peat moss I threw, since it's already highly acidic, went in and threw down some lime and azomite, rock dust, and some Epsom salt. And next, I just wanted to add one little thing here. This Kellogg Organics raised bed potting mix is actually the first time I've used it, and you'll notice it's full of all kinds of wood chips and stuff, which, if that's hardwood wood chips, it's going to have like 45 different types of nutrients that'll show up over a long period of time as it breaks down. So it might be good stuff. Alright, I just ripped open this Dr. Earth bag. It's already the one that's inoculated and everything. And I had to take a video of this because you'll see all that hair that's growing through there. That's all fungal networks forming inside the bag. So this might be some good stuff too. Alright, so with probably 1/3 of a bag of peat moss and one each of these brands of bags here, which is 2 cubic feet, 1.5 cubic feet, and I have no idea how much is in there, and I can't see it anywhere. Anyways, it pretty much filled the bed up perfectly. So I'll just get some mulch and finish that off, and then go ahead and start throwing some compost in here, or stuff to compost. Once it breaks down a little bit, then I'll add some worms to it. And I still have to finish off the rest of the bed and this other one. I'd also like to add that if you've never heard of hugelkultur, you might want to look into that. Something you could potentially add to the bottom of this bed for wicking is logs and wood that'll break down and act like a sponge over time. I would still at least add that middle tube for the reservoir and maybe some logs, or even have all those reservoirs and have a bunch of logs and stuff laid on top of it if you can get a taller container. And the roots from the plants up above will actually grow down into that, and then the logs will fertilize the plants as they break down, and it will hold water, and it'll have fungal networks and stuff. Fungus actually moves water to plants, and the plants give the fungus sugars back, and so it works out. They will help each other out. Alright, so here is the final result of the bed. Got the top of it framed out now. Hi, Gemma. And then, so I'm going to have the two warm towers. I'm going to have the two watering places right next to each other just to make it easier to move the hose over whenever it is time to water. And I'm going to come back and actually have a lot of this ornamental grass around the yard. I'm going to top it off and throw that down as straw on this. Making sure I don't have any seed heads or anything.
And he has worms.
Yep. Oh yes, and we've been catching worms and putting them in there too. Thanks, Gemma. Alright, here it is, the final product. I got the straw in the top there. And I actually have some cages. I'm probably going to end up growing tomatoes and whatnot in here this next year, and just veggies every year after that. You could actually use this for strawberry beds. You could even like have an overstory of blueberries, which you can actually control the soil perfectly in something like this. And of course, some blueberries with maybe with an understory of ever-bearing strawberries or whatever. And there's all kinds of things you can use this for.